We are here today to show you different ways to launch your kites on the snow and the ice. This is not a beginner tutorial. You already know how to snow kite, whether it's with skiing or snowboarding, but you already know what to do, but you might not know all the different ways to launch your kite safely. And this is all solo launching, so if you're by yourself and nobody else is with you. The first method for launching by yourself or solo launching is probably one of the easier ones if it's less windy and you have some decent snow or something that you can just put on top of your kite. So the key to all this is keeping your kite in place so it doesn't blow away on you before you're going. If you have somebody to help you, that's great, but that's not the purpose of this video. This video is to show you a bunch of different ways to launch by yourself when you're out here and nobody's here to help you. So I'm going to flip the kite over. Even though Steve is rigging the lines, he's just helping, but I'm basically just going to go through the whole process. And if I can get some snow, the snow's a little hard to put on here. So I do have some weights that I'm just going to throw on top of the kite to keep it in place. Then we'll rig the lines here in a second. Then we'll show you how to launch this up in the sky by yourself. One of the things that I want everybody to keep in mind when you're rigging is to be as efficient as you can. I like to bring the least amount that I need and have everything in place in the direction that I'm ready to go before I go. Right now, if you take a look at my rig, there's a few little adjustments I'm gonna make. I'm gonna put my skis over by the kite, and I'm just gonna change the weights and put them on the other side of the kite. And you'll see why I'm going to do that once I get into the launch position by myself. So I actually don't want the weights on this side, because this side of the kite is going to catch the wind first. And it's basically going to knock those weights off when I'm getting ready to launch. All right, there's a couple of choices that you also have. At this point, you could put your skis on and go to your bar and check your bar. That's actually probably what I'm going to do. Or you could leave your skis right next to the kite. Go down to the bar, bring the bar up to your skis, and then put them on. I'm actually going to put my skis on, go to the bar, and then you're going to see me go to the edge of the wind window before we're ready to launch the kite. So at this point, I'm going to double check my lines. Steve rigged the kite for me, but it's still me being the pilot. You always want to make sure before you take off that everything looks good. Right now, everything looks good. I'm gonna do a little adjustment on the trim here. Again, this is all just set up right now. I'm not getting ready to ride quite yet. My lines are right here off to one side. And I'm gonna go off to the right side of the kite. Keep away from my line. So what I'm doing, I'm not hooked in or anything, but I'm just carrying my lines. The snow is pretty decent that it's not gonna get caught on anything. I'm just trying to get into position. Actually the lines are getting caught. So a little change of plans here. I'm still gonna go through this. Okay, got it? Got it. So I'm gonna hook in now. My lines aren't quite tight yet. Make sure everything's safe. Another little tip for you, as you're going through this whole process, don't hold on to your bar the whole time. Just grab the center lines. And what I want to happen is the back of the kite, as I'm walking backwards, it's gonna fill with air, just like it's doing, see it? And then whatever that weight is on is gonna pop off. And the kite should go straight downwind. Again, don't grab the bar, I don't even touch it until the kite just stops. Start up my lines, up I go. Another way to launch by yourself or solo launch is just to do what I call a drift launch. I have everything rigged up. You're gonna have to inflate your kite beforehand and come out onto the snow and get everything ready, but I'm in pretty much the ready position here, but you also need to take a look at the surface. If there's a lot of rough surface or shards sticking up out of the ice and snow, this will not work for you. You're gonna have to go to plan B or another method. But if it's a really nice smooth surface, this is another way to do it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the kite down on the snow. Again, I really got to keep an eye on what my lines are doing. I'm going to try to rotate my kite about 90 degrees to the wind. Again, I'm really concentrating on my lines. When I let go, I'm going to go off to my left. Here we go. Yeah, and it's not quite doing what I wanted, but I was hoping the kite would drift downwind, but now I'm going to go side to the wind. My lines start tight, and I'm not doing anything with the bar. And the kite should go straight downwind again. Don't grab the bar. I don't even touch it until the kite just stops. There it is. Sort out my lines. Everything looks good. Up I go. All right, so another method of solo launching by yourself. Each of these gets a little trickier and a little harder, and the last one that we do is going to be probably the hardest launch. It's going to be on ice. But this one you can do on pure ice, or if you just have a little bit of snow, and you really need consistent wind though. Please don't do this if the winds are gusty. This is putting the kite at the edge of the wind window as if it's in launch position if you had an assistant, but there's no assistant with you. So the kite's going to be sitting on its wingtip, ready to launch. But you as the rider, my beautiful assistant Steve here, he's actually going to do this one for me. And he'll set the kite up. But first what we're going to do is we're going to hook the chicken loop up to the ice screw. So you have to have an ice screw with you. So Steve is going to hook up the chicken loop, and you have to make sure that you hold on to that kite securely at the same time. Perfect. Then he's going to walk out to his left and set his kite up. Again, you really want to make sure that it's good consistent winds, and these winds feel pretty good today. And then leave it. Yep, let it sit on its wingtip wherever it feels like it wants to stay. Perfect. Now run back to your right? So this is one of those you can see the kite's just sitting there, and you might want to get your skis on first. Careful of your lines. Yep, you're gonna have to, pick up the chicken loop. Don't even grab the bar, just pick up the chicken loop and hook in. He's got to get his safety on before he's ready. Next thing he's going to do is check his lines. You can see some twists in the line. Everything should be good. If you look at the kite, there it goes. Nicely done. One of the trickiest ways to launch a kite is when it's pure ice and very little snow. I need to set the stage here a little bit. If we look on the inside here today, we're on Lake Mendota, there is snow where you can rig and go. I would not come out here to the ice and do this. However, there's times that you come to a lake and it can be fantastic conditions, but it's all ice. So we're gonna show you how to do this just from the ice. You probably cannot do this in one step. First thing that you're gonna wanna do is have an ice screw with you. We put an ice screw in already. We have this hooked up. And then I have some weights right here that's gonna act like a clamp. Call this a clam method that I came up with. And I have one weight that's gonna go under the kite and the leading edge is gonna go over it. And then this weight acts like the clam and it's gonna go over the top of it. And the beauty of doing this, you have to trust me, man, when you're out here on the ice, and especially if it's really, really, really windy, and I've done this, managing your lines is a pain in the you-know-what. You can be carrying your kite with your lines all rigged up behind you and ready to do a self-launch or a drift launch, and your lines are flapping all over the place, and by the time you let go of your kite, you've got knots in your lines. I've had this happen. So this is a fail-safe method, well, I shouldn't say fail-safe, but a better method of making sure that you can check your lines before you do anything, and it just makes it a lot easier. So I'm just gonna hook up, finish hooking this up here. All right, so I've got this hooked up. It's pretty much ready to go. The only thing I need now is the kite and the bar and the lines. This weight is gonna be under the kite and it's gonna keep the kite from going downwind, and the other one I'm going to put on top of it. So I'm just going to flip this over, I also want to make sure my bridles are underneath properly, and they are. I'm going to set this right here, and on top goes that. That's not going anywhere. It'll slide down a little bit just because this is lengthening. That's going to keep it right in place. So if you look at my screw here, I did attach a couple of carabiners to ropes so I can attach things to them. The first one has a kite hooked up, and I've got that clamp thing. That kite's not going anywhere. But how do we run our lines without securing this to something? So I have a second carabiner. Just going to hook this on here. This is going to take a while. Trust me, man. It's worth taking your time to do this and making sure everything's right. But I'm going to run my lines downwind, and then I'm going to come back up and have to figure out how I'm going to attach them properly. All right, so we've got the kite hooked up to this clamp method. It's just sitting there by the weight. And now we're going to rig the bar. So I have the bar hooked up to another carabiner. You have to figure out which way to rotate the bar. Since we're effectively rigging this kind of downwind and we're running the lines from upwind, but then we're going to turn the corner and come back, you want to make sure that red is on the right, because then when we turn the corner, red will attach to the right. So let me get in between the lines here and start running these. And when I get to the end down here, red should be on my right. Yeah, this is where it can get a little tricky right at the end, because things are twisting around a lot, especially if it's windy. You can see things twisting around, and it's really not even that windy, but it can be a battle just trying to sort your lines. But you can see at the end here, red is on the right, just like I said. Got white on the left, and my two center lines. So now I'm going to turn the corner. You got to make sure that this line, that right line, stays where it is, and I'm right where I was. Now I go through my kite and I attach the line. So I'm still keeping these sorted. I gotta take my gloves off. If it's windy, you're gonna want, and I am wearing knee pads, especially if I'm ever riding on ice. I always wear knee pads. If it's pretty cold, man, this could be a little brutal, but you gotta get these attached properly. So there's the outer line, and again, red is on red, just like I said, so we're good. We're going middle knot on each one. All right, we are good to go. Now it's time to get the skis on and double check the bar and lines, and then we're gonna be good to go. So the key here in this system, now I'm gonna go to the bar. The kite is not attached to anything. All it has on it are the two weights, one underneath and one on top. And what we're going to do is basically, I'll go downwind, I'll check my lines first, and then I'm gonna walk upwind, then sidewind, and I'm just gonna pull the kite off of those weights, and the kite's gonna go into a relaunch position. All right, so this is one little trick that you're not gonna know about until you have to do this by yourself. But getting down to the bar, believe it or not, might not be the easiest thing. Today it's not too bad, but again, if it's really windy out here, if I just face straight downwind like this, I may start sliding right towards the kite and the bar, even if I'm in a wedge like this. So what I'm gonna do, this is a little dicey, but I'm gonna get my tip under the bar. There we go. And I can move up. Reach down, I'm gonna grab it. Undo the carabiner. And now I'm gonna go downwind of the kite so I can check my lines. Again, the beauty of this whole thing is being able to check our lines before we go. Because even though I know, or I'm pretty sure that they're rigged up properly, I want to do a final check, especially if it's really windy. And it's best to try to keep some tension on these lines as you're doing this. I'm going in an arc, I'm not going straight downwind. So it lets my lines have fewer tangles. All right, my lines look good, this is perfect. Now I'm gonna go back upwind or go crosswind. Okay, now I'm gonna hook in. I'm not quite perfectly sideways. I'm not gonna hold on to the bar at all. I'm just gonna start walking. Here I'm gonna start pulling. There we go. Now I just do a relaunch. Hi, thanks for watching our tutorial on how to do solo launches. We started out with easier methods on the snow and we worked our way to probably one of the more dicey, but yet what can be some of the more fulfilling methods on the ice if you like to ride really fast. Snow is really good for jumping and it's a little more forgiving. Riding on ice, better like going fast, and that's where it's at. If you found this tutorial helpful, please like it and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any constructive feedback, please leave that for us in the comment section below.